almost lost my hat. We're good. Let's have a seat, have a good talk with your old friend, Big Money Biology. You know, your good old friend, your friend that kind of like disappeared for a year. I will be back after this video though. So that's actually what I'm talking about here. So what's going on is I am returning, and essentially like what happened was like nothing serious happened with me leaving for a year. It essentially just boiled down to me kind of just prioritizing other things that were definitely more important than making these videos. Because really, like, I feel like it's apparent that making YouTube videos is not like the most productive use of your time, and there were a lot more like fulfilling and profitable alternatives that I just had to take advantage of while they were there. And really just like previously it would not have been a good use of my time to have continued making videos, especially if I continued to make them the way I used to. And really what got me back into this finally was just engagement I got from people around me that did seem interested in my channel. If you know who you are, then thank you. I would not have gone back to like pursuing making these videos if it weren't for the like increased interest that people around me had in my channel. So I am appreciative of it, and that also just inspired me to make some more positive changes that will make this channel much more improved than it would be otherwise, especially if I continued making them since like last January when I stopped filming. And really, like, the things I do plan to improve on this channel fall into like 3 main categories. So really, firstly, the first thing I'm really like going to be focusing on improving would be the conciseness of my speaking mostly, and when I do write, and whenever that's accessible to you all, I'll make sure that stuff is all as concise as possible. Because really, like, while I was gone, I kind of during that time period I kind of noticed that, especially in like American writing, in like scientific papers, books, textbooks, and just like popular science books that would be like New York Times bestsellers or something like that, in those pieces I've noticed that not being brief and not being to the point is a serious problem with everyone's writing, pretty much. My main complaint about the lack of brevity in a lot of science writing, it mostly just has to do with like the seeming like incapability for people to like get to a point sometimes. It's really frustrating because the problem is, even if you are like a very educated person or like high ranking and you've become like very good at communicating science to people, you're not making it any easier for people that are trying to learn. And that's kind of been something that I've been trying to focus on, because even if writing isn't necessarily pivotal to the content I'm making, it still happens in speech, although admittedly not as much. So even if it wasn't an issue beforehand in my past videos, I'm gonna make sure it's not an issue from now on. Because really, just how often I see it in the things I'm trying to research is really just frustrating, because I'm imagining other people that are walking a mile in my shoes right now, and they're like trying to figure out things that they're trying to be interested in because it's just that engaging to them, and they just can't jump those like verbal hurdles in the text that they find, where the language is just very like affected and pompous and over descriptive and redundant, and it's hard to pick apart sentences and get what they mean. And a lot of times, like when I read through stuff, I'll occasionally like second guess myself and ask myself like what's going on with me for like missing something, like missing a point in like a sentence that I was reading and not particularly understanding it. But now that I'm like thinking back on it, I have a feeling that I was kind of being a little hard on myself and not taking the time to think about how the author could have done a better job. In order to like describe the material that really interests me, I definitely want to make sure that conciseness is a top priority, because that'll just make it all the more easier and more enjoyable for you all to learn from this channel. With the material I want to teach on this channel in mind, I shouldn't use teaching because I'm probably using like the loosest definition of it possible. When it comes to describing the things I'm interested in on this channel, I also want to make sure that I'm a lot more focused with what I want to do. So previously, like the past, I think like 8 videos, they've been pretty generalized and they haven't been really specific to what I'm interested in particular. And I'll explain what that is in a hot second. So really, I was doing a lot of like general like plant and botany stuff just because plants have been obviously very accessible to me, and it's like budget friendly for videos. It's time friendly as well. So really, like I was just focusing on that for a while. However, now I have like access to and a pretty reasonable knowledge of how to use like software and certain like databases and things like that to just improve my research and understanding of the 3 primary things I'm interested in. And from now on, those things will be the focus of the videos on this channel. And those 3 things would be, first, biomechanics, which is essentially physics applied to living things. And I'd probably be focusing on locomotory biomechanics, which would be just the science of like how living things move, especially vertebrates and like the musculoskeletal system. Secondly would be vertebrate paleontology, where you're just studying the fossil record of vertebrates. And additionally, the final thing that would be interesting to focus on this channel would be comparative vertebrate anatomy, where you're comparing the anatomy of vertebrates. I need to cut that out. But all 3 of those combined, and everything that interrelates at least 2 of those things, are going to be what I'm going to be primarily looking at on this channel. And the thing is, like my thoughts on that is just, that'll really help like bring all of this together and just make this a lot more engaging and interesting when I'm going to be more engaged and interested in making these videos. Because really, I'd be doing like a pretty big disservice to people that are like trying to watch something and get enjoyment out of it when it's not something that's like in my ballpark necessarily. Because I know the channel's big money biology, but no one ever is gonna like get that generalized and make videos that are as comprehensive and interesting as they could be without it being like a whole network of people that specialize in multiple different things. And that's kind of like vague and doesn't make any sense, and I'm being really bad at explaining this, but I hope you understand what I mean. I hope you understand what I mean when I explain that it's probably a much better idea for me to put content on this channel that's as closely related to what I'm interested in as possible. Like, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory why that's a good idea. So I think that's just probably like a best course of action. Another thing I plan on doing would be like doing reviews of the text that I look at as research for the videos that I make and that I plan to make in the future. Like, along with those 3D slicer videos, You might end up finding reviews of books, reviews of book chapters, or even reviews of scientific papers or like special publications within a scientific journal. And I might even like just voice my opinions and thoughts on different like databases that I use and look through when I'm looking for material that'd be good for a video. All of that would, I don't know how integral of a part that would be to the channel, but videos where that is the subject matter will be on the radar for a while, and you should also stay tuned for those. And I was talking about these videos being more engaging and enjoyable for the audience when they're going to be more focused on what I like. And with that in mind, like the final thing I would be focusing on would be just making sure that I'm more like myself in these videos. Because I feel like looking at my past videos, I feel like I think it's important to be professional in these videos. I'm going to keep doing that. However, I feel like the professionalism was being excessively shoehorned into the videos. And an example of one of those would probably be my first 3D slicer video. Because really, honestly, that first 3D slicer video of mine is probably my least favorite video. I hate that video. I'm gonna keep it up, but I hate it a lot. Like, because that was back during a point where I definitely didn't know a lot. I don't know a lot about how to use 3D slicer, but really that was back when like I really should have like took my time before I like started like teaching people how to do stuff or attempting to. But that video, another problem I had with it was my like affect during it. I'm having a hard time explaining it, but really I'm just not satisfied with like the person I was trying to act like during some of those videos. So really, like from now on, I'm definitely going to be more focused on making sure that who you are seeing explain all this stuff to you is me. And I am going to try to be like pretty secretive and reserved just in general, but still, if there's anything I do want you to know about me, it's my personality, my sense of humor, and my interests. I really do think that would be helpful for engaging more audience members and keeping them watching for longer spans of time. Because really, like the way I see myself, because I don't necessarily think I'm like a weird person. I would say it's probably more accurate for me to describe myself as eccentric. I definitely say that I'm a pretty eccentric person, and that paired with the like very complex kind of nerdy subject material that I'm talking about, I feel like that could actually be pretty beneficial for people being interested in my channel as a whole. What I'm getting at is really those three things mainly have been all that's on my mind in terms of this channel just in the past year, along with like future video projects that I've been fantasizing about making, because they'd probably be really cool to pull off. And hopefully all of this is something that you all are looking forward to. Again, I'm very appreciative of the increase in interest that I've had. If you know who you are and what I'm talking about, you can give yourself a pat on the back for being so helpful. I'm always very appreciative of it. Thank you. And also thank you for watching.